Two lions, one dragon.
Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This episode 5 of Two Lions, One Dragon may contain some swear words.
It is time. It is episode 5 of the Two Lions, One Dragon podcast. Guest is back. That's it. We're back for the 5th time. How are we, gentlemen?
Five-time podcasters.
Five-time champion.
Five-time podcasters.
Yes.
Five-time.
Well, yeah, I'm good. Good on Thursday after day 4 of my isolation, which is going swimmingly. I really don't want to leave the house at all.
The beard's growing, Trig.
Really?
Couple more days.
The beard is growing.
Couple more days, we'll get a castaway.
I know. I can't. I grow a shit beard as well.
Have you started talking to the wolves yet?
Glad you can.
Oh, I'd rather not, to be honest.
Luke's been
But
to
anyway,
the
John,
Turkish barbers.
how are you?
I'm alright.
How are you down there?
I am, surprisingly, I was invested in the games last night. Hungary, Germany, Portugal and France. I got more into them than I thought I would.
And me.
Only because Germany were losing and there's
exactly.
to England
I was like,
next round.
come on, Hungary! But, you know, today, looking at the fantasy team, and I've done quite a lot of Euro stuff today, and I'm absolutely buzzing for next Tuesday, to be fair.
So in the last episode, we were talking the fact that Wales had just qualified and were waiting for all the other teams, and especially England. We now know how the tournament is playing out. And so firstly, England beat Czech Republic 1-0. I've got a few points here just to quickly run down. We don't want to sit on that too long because we were taught all things England for far too long last time because I was a bit ranty.
Look at my right.
So it was a great first half. Second half, it was just controlled. Saka, I didn't realise how good he is. He was immense. Kane should have scored, and it shows you the difference of bringing Harry Maguire back into the squad. And finally, from me, what has Sancho done to Southgate?
I don't think he's done anything. I think what we're seeing is a cautious approach from the England manager. I think they said in commentary that Gareth and his team researched a lot of the winners from past tournaments, and that a lot of them, you know, they don't concede many goals, which appears to be what we're doing. And when, you know, I said I was researching a bit of the Euros earlier, I looked back at the Greece victory because that was an underdog and it was impressive. But basically, I don't think they won a game more than 1-0. And I kind of have that feeling that that's the approach Gareth is taking. Once we get the lead...
The risky approach.
It is, but once we take the lead...
Gareth Southgate's taking the Greece 2004 approach.
Greece 2004 won the tournament. If it means... You know, I'd rather win the tournament by winning every game 1-0 than thrashing people and not winning the tournament. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like he's going, as soon as we score, let's control the ball, let's tire the opposition out, and let's, you know, just control the game. And I think that's how we're going to beat Germany as well. I expect to see 5 at the back with wing backs.
Yeah.
With the 2 holding midfielders, and, you know, because we're good enough to go and get a goal, and I think we're good enough to defend as well. So I think we're going to beat the Germans 1-0.
The question I have, especially to the Arsenal fan on the gallery, Mr. Trigg.
Yes.
Saka, does he have to start the next game after his performance the other night?
It's a toughie, isn't it? Because
he can play left back as well, can't he?
Going to the toilet then.
Although he, I just went. Spoilers. Although I've seen a stat and I can't quite remember what it was. It was something to do with he was man of the match in each of his debuts, so like Premier League debuts.
Yeah, he's
something
been
like
man of
that.
the match 3 out of 5 times for England as well.
So I mean, on that point, you'd say yes, but I mean, for Arsenal, has he played that good opposition? I mean, the Premier League obviously, but Arsenal had a terrible season, and the Europa League. The Europa League is a real Europa League, but then do you start him against The Germans.
Germans.
I'd say probably.
It depends.
I don't know.
I think he's going to
It's
go.
just toughy.
I think.
Tuffy. I'd say yes more than I'd like him to start more than I'd like to see him come off the bench. I don't think he's more of an impact player. I think he's a player who starts with a lot of energy and kind of puts England on a front foot. And I don't think a lot of other players have shown that for England yet.
And he sticks to his defensive duties, which I think Gareth will like, which we saw with the other night when he was tracking back to like right back at one point.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of options there. I mean, you've got Foden, Sterling, Grealish. We can go there. Saka, Sancho, who's definitely shagged Southgate's wife to not start. So, I mean, yeah, it's a toughie. I mean, that's why Gareth Southgate's England manager, and I'm sitting here in my kitchen in South Wales. So,
like I say, I think we will play with the 5 to begin with, and Saka could slot in. He's played at wing back for Arsenal, hasn't he? So he could slot in there, and we could still play with like the likes of Foden and Sterling and Grealish.
Do you think the Germans are gonna change their system? Because they played 3. They played 3 or 5 at the back.
No, they played wing back. I don't think they will.
This is what annoys me a little bit. Is we didn't want to play the Germans, but then surely the Germans shouldn't want to play us either. You know, we're not a rubbish side, are we?
I mean you haven't looked very convincing in the group stage.
Have Germany either? You know, they drew with Hungary. They lost to France. You know, they
beat Portugal 4-2.
Yeah, but that's a one-off game, isn't it? And it's the same as this, isn't it? It's going to be a one-off game, and I mean, like,
you didn't have a one-off game in the group stage, well, that's kind of the difference.
They were 10 minutes away from going out of the tournament. So I don't think England have anything to be worried about. But what we will see is a tight game. I think we'll have I think Trippier might start. You know, because of the set pieces, they've been abysmal recently. And I think he'll be on corners and free kicks because it's going to be a tight game, and we're going to have to snatch something from there. I think so. I think Trippier will start.
Was it the Czech game or the Croatian or the Scotland game when Mount hit the first player from the corner like
all
4
the time,
times?
all the time. I think
that is my biggest frustration with professional football. Beat the first man.
It's not difficult. Like if you're having trouble beating the first man, just loop the ball in, just get some height on it.
Yeah,
I mean, at least you beat the first man. Anything can happen. You can get the second ball could drop and you could score. You don't know, but beating the first man is going to do everything.
He had a bit of COVID in that game, so you got to let him off.
He had a bit of a shitted freak fucking corners.
The one thing I was going to mention is watching how Croatia played against Scotland. I know Scotland sort of sat off them a little bit, but that does show you how England did nullify them a little in the first game. I think that is a positive take. But we talked about England a lot. Let's get some predictions. Charlie's gone 1-0.
Raheem Sterling, by the way.
I'm going to go for a prediction, and mainly because it is my birthday that day and I have a meal booked in the evening. I do not want it to go past 90 minutes. So I'm going to go for 1-0 as well.
What time's your meal? What time's your meal, Luke?
To England, 8 o'clock.
Oh, it's cutting it. Cutting it fine.
No. What am I going to go for? I'm going to go for a... Although I've had no predictions right so far, I don't think.
Can you predict the Germans to win then?
I'm probably going to predict the Germans to win.
Do you reckon?
Only because you have been convincing going forward. Apart from the first half of the Czech game, the second half was dire. I've never been so bored.
Controlled the game, mate.
You can control the game all you want.
1-0 early on. And I mean, you can see
if you control the game against the Germans and don't score, then the Germans are going to beat you, aren't they?
No.
There's the Germans. They don't let Czech Republic.
Yakum going home.
Right, you two. I'm coming in between you. Give me a score prediction, Trey.
I'm going to go 2-0 the Germans.
2-0. So we're not even scoring. This podcast is
Germans.
over.
Who's going to score? Sterling. Sterling's
going to score.
You two.
And then we're going to defend. England are winning
1-0.
We're going through.
It's been churning for a while.
Come on, Denmark. That's what I'm saying.
Well, recent history dictates that we've gone further in competitions than you have. We both went to semi-final. But I don't know.
How far did you get in Russia?
Wales, Denmark. It's a toughie, isn't it? Because we tend to do. I see that we tend to do well against better teams. I think we turn up against better teams.
When you're the underdog, like we discussed in the last episode.
What's your thoughts on the crowd scenario, Trig? I think that's a bit
that Denmark are allowed into Amsterdam, but I don't think we are.
And they taking the Welsh allocation as well?
I don't know. I haven't read too much.
Also playing at a stadium, playing at Ajax's stadium, where famously Christian Eriksen used to play as well. So that even if they get neutrals, they might. I think any neutral's going to side with Denmark because of the whole Christian Eriksen story anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'm siding
It's a tricky game, but I think it's winnable.
It's winnable. Any game is winnable, really, when you put your tacks and toes down to it. But
you're looking at Ramsey and Bale for some magic, aren't you? You got to start with
for every single game.
Got to start with Kiefer Moore up front. You can't go into these games now thinking, oh, let's see how far we can get before we snatch a goal.
It does
surprise
me.
He didn't want to lose him, did he, in the last game?
Yeah, it surprises me how. I mean, Denmark they've been on a good run where they've kept a lot of clean sheets, which mystifies me because they got Andreas Christensen in the defence and he's kind of shit.
Yeah,
his goal. I saw his goal.
What a hit!
I know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we put Kiefer Moore up front, I mean, it's going to give us as good a chance as any.
I mean, they don't look strong at the back, do they?
Running at defence. I think Dan James is starting to go into the category where he's as important as Ramsey and Bale.
Yeah, I'd agree. He's arguably been Wales' best player this tournament.
I think, although I don't want it to go to extra time penalties, I think it might be either a goalless draw or 1-1.
Yeah.
I don't think either team are gonna really outplay each other to the extent where it's going to be like a 2-0, 3-0.
I think there will be goals though.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals. Our defence has been really well, played really well for the last 3 games, especially against Italy, we were down to 10 men.
And both England and Wales have been quite lucky with the side of the draw that they've fallen on as well. Like, if they go through, it's not a horrible route.
Although you could get Holland, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think we just look
by Holland defensively.
I think we're looking at forwards we're just looking to the next game really, because we're obviously probably on paper the probably worst side left.
No, I'd say like Ukraine. Ukraine.
I forgot Ukraine.
And you're better than Sweden.
Yeah, but player for player, we got a lot of our squad isn't the deepest. You know, we haven't got deepest quality. So we're probably on paper one of the lower teams left. So we're looking just game by game. If we get through, fantastic. If we get knocked out, we're in a knockout round. So
I just say, Trig, you love a tournament.
Love a tournament? Well, you love it. I'm just here for the ride.
Right, let's get a prediction out of you, Matthew.
Oh, 5-0 Wales, easy.
Oh no.
I'm gonna say 1-1. I'm gonna say 1-1. I think it'll be nervy. I think it'll be.
Are you gonna experience your first penalty shootout?
I love a penalty shot. I do. I love it. As I said in the last one, go first, no pressure.
No pressure.
Don't
let Bale take it.
I think they'll go extra time, but I don't think they'll go penalties. I think someone will get a goal in extra time.
Isn't Ward good at penalties as well, the keeper? I'm sure he's won a fair few.
He's a tall bugger, so he should be.
I mean, he's only played a handful of games in like 4 years, but I have heard he's good at penalties as well.
Is he like Cal the Dragon?
One for Huddersfield.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that, you know. So
hope he doesn't do like the keeper last night.
Don't mention him. Don't mention him.
Final when play Barcelona.
Don't mention him. Let's move on. I promised him we wouldn't mention.
Who does the Slovakia keeper play for? Club-wise?
Don't know, mate.
Is it not Handanovic?
No, that's Slovenia.
That's Slovenia. Oh yeah, Martin Dubravka when he caught the ball and jumped into his own net. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right,
I've risked
so
that
you're
then, 'cause it took
going
me ages to get it
1-1
on.
and then 1-1 and then to clinch it in extra time, are you?
I think we'll either win it or lose it in extra time. I can't see it lasting to penalties. To be honest.
Charles?
Well, I'm just getting payback here for the England-Germany prediction. I'm
Go for
going
it. I don't care.
3-1 Denmark. Poulsen,
Go for it.
Damsgaard.
At least we're scoring. That's one less than he scored in 3 games.
Hey,
So am I.
we're scoring, then we're defending. I'm telling you, it's happening. 1-0 wins all the way, Luke. Mourinho did it.
If you-
The
you
Greek
2-0.
players did it. Football's coming home.
So I actually see this being pretty cagey. I actually thought 1-1 and then going to extra time, and I see whoever winning it getting it in the last 5 minutes or so of extra time, and I'm going to go Wales actually.
Keep him more.
Oh, you're always so confident in the Welsh.
Yeah, to be.
Luke,
to be the
I don't get this
break
right, Luke.
Denmark's heart.
You're so supportive of Wales when Trig is not supportive of England at all.
I'm outnumbered.
supportive
I'm
of
outnumbered.
Wales. I'm not supportive of Wales. I just think that it might work for them on that game. It doesn't necessarily mean I think they're going to go all the way.
This show
Because
is
you shout
called.
it's coming home every 2 minutes.
This show is called 2 Lions, 1 Dragon, Luke. Not 1 lion, 2 dragons.
I also predicted England to win, you fool.
Good man, good man.
Can we move
But
Charlie for the
also,
rest of the
just talking about England, did you know the last night England's opponents that they were playing in this round changed 8 times?
Yeah.
8 times.
I
because
told
of
you,
the game.
I got invested in it.
What a stat.
The Germany
Love that.
actually cheered the hungry second goal. Like, it was seconds after Germany had scored as well. What a goal it was as well. Straight punt down.
And
Hail Mary down the
Take
field.
off, yeah.
Let's
I've
go.
also got to make I've got to reveal something. The wall chart is out. Too much of a chore filling in that wall chart.
Oh, no way.
I did it for about
It's all filled
3
in.
games in, and then flashback. Just thought I'd admit that.
I mean,
I'll
Charlie,
take
I
it.
can't
Safe.
see much
Come
of
here.
yours as filled
Come
in from
here.
here.
Let me give you a rundown.
Come on,
Cool.
give us a rundown.
I don't need a rundown.
I don't know if you can see that.
I know we don't need a rundown. No, we can't. What are you wondering?
That's as
Like,
far as it stretches into Andy Robertson.
Did you write it in Tipex?
No, you
No.
can't really see it because
I know I've got glasses on, but Jesus Christ.
my handwriting's
Oh, there we
terrible
go.
as well.
Did you get Ariana to write that? Jesus Christ.
Hey, she's got neat handwriting. Sponsored by
Just
Google.
whilst we're talking about Wales as well, something I shared with you both earlier on today, and it is absolutely cracking me up. Have you seen how the Wales squad posed for the pre-match photo?
Yeah,
Then they've got like
No.
2 people at the front and then the rest of the team in the back row.
They've done that for ages, haven't they, Trig? They've done that for
Yeah,
ages.
it just shows we like playing international football. To be honest, it's, we're not here to put too much pressure on ourselves. We're here to enjoy the game. I'm going English, but yeah, it's a tight group of guys, and they love playing with each other. So
It does crack me up a bit. Do you think it's a psychological thing? The other teams looking over
really?
and go, what the hell are they
No,
doing?
Chris Gunter came out and said that it was a superstitious thing that they did it, and then they got a couple of good performances. So like us all having our superstitions, which we discussed last week, or in the last episode, should I say, they've adopted it and at that. So
Fair play.
it does
Yeah.
sometimes. You have to count and think, because you do think, have they got the right amount of players on the pitch? Just
I know.
throw me sometimes.
it's like there's 2 at the back. There can't be 9 at the front, and then there you go.
Quick
Remember,
maths.
that's the formation. Two at the back.
This is 2 at the back. We're attacking. Very fluid.
So the other
Very
games then.
Run us through. I haven't got
Give us a
any
run through.
information.
Okay, you spoke about we had the easier side of the draw. Let's head on over to the other side of the draw, where
Oh, it's difficult.
we have we have Belgium Portugal game
Which is the game I would have been at.
game of the
I had
round.
tickets to that game.
We've
but
got
it's COVID.
Ooh,
Italy Austria, France
Italians
Switzerland,
too.
Croatia
France.
Spain, That's a tough
Croatia.
one to call. I
Croatia.
think I fancy Croatia too. Sweden, Ukraine. Turn that one off.
Ukraine.
England, Germany, Holland, Czech Republic, and Wales, Denmark.
How irritating is Pepe, by the way?
Pepe is just infuriating. The amount of time that guy asks for someone to be carded.
Do you tell him?
Yeah.
Do you see the one of him telling Patricio where to dive for Benzema's penalty?
Yeah. And then had to go at him, but like Benzema could have changed, and he also makes me look fast. How slow he looks at the moment.
He is
If
38
I-
though,
you
right?
He's 38,
but still.
yeah.
Yeah, 38
But
years
still,
old.
you pinpoint that. I thought
He's older than Goran Pandev.
Sanchez looked good last night.
Who's, sorry?
I thought Sanchez looked good in the middle when they brought him on.
Ronaldo
Brought him in from the
Sanchez.
start. Yeah,
He was decent last
he made
tournament,
a
wasn't
difference.
he? He was
Yeah,
decent.
he
he went
was.
to Swansea and
Yeah.
flopped.
Where's he now? Lille? Is he in Lille or Rennes? Which one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
with
for the next
Lille.
2 years
And they won the league, didn't they?
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah, I just can't see. I see Belgium as kind of a better Spain. I haven't seen them not better Spain with a better striker.
They have good.
But then,
They have good players on paper, don't they?
yeah, but that's their golden generation, but I haven't won anything. So
I do think it'll be a really boring game. I think everyone will
Yeah.
build it up because Belgium is so good and it's got obviously Ronaldo in, but I think it'll be a really dull game. I did expect Portugal-France to be dull, but if it wasn't for a penalty-happy referee,
It's shocking.
it could have been.
yeah, I think there's the only second contentious call by VAR.
He reffed the Champions
I didn't
League
even
as
know
well,
it went to
didn't he?
VAR. I think the foul on Mbappe was never a foul.
He reffed the Champions
No.
League as well, didn't he? Champions League final.
Yeah, apparently he's very. It's all about him. Big ego, apparently.
I see that with a lot of the
All
European
refs, I
refs.
think.
Hey,
Yeah.
what about the ref that we had against Czech Republic? He was a bit of a farce, wasn't he? See when Saka got fouled on the edge of the box and he didn't give it.
That wasn't
Yeah.
a foul. Get over.
He
it was
whacked
never a
him
foul.
out.
It was
He
not
whacked
a
him out.
foul. It wasn't a foul.
There was loads of
Wasn't a
fouls he
foul.
didn't give. I think he was a bit up his own.
I
I
think
thought you were
you're.
going to talk about the ref and with Scotland game and calling for a Sterling penalty. That
I
wasn't a
think-
penalty.
You're grasping at whatever the saying is.
Straws.
Straws.
My call of Holland winning the thing is still up for grabs, isn't it?
Are they going to be
And my
whoever we just talked
I call
about?
it- Belgium winning it with Ronaldo being top goal scorer.
Yeah, he is top.
Good gun.
He's been given
Spain.
this bloody golden boot, and he. How many penalties has he had? 3 or 4, and he. We said that as well, didn't we? He said people who get penalties, fucking
He
hell.
had 2 last night.
It's annoyed me. It annoys me. Bloody Ronaldo. I hate him.
Yeah. but Same with Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League, though, isn't it? He scored a lot of goals, but I think
He was
he'd only
dog
have
shit last night.
8 goals if he didn't have penalties. So I mean,
I think he was lucky not to concede a penalty on that foul on Dembele when he raked the back of his ankle.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very lucky, but it's funny how the tables turn, doesn't it? When he wants a penalty, he's rolling around and crying.
Well,
But
it reminds me of remember when I can't remember when it was. I think it was the season before the last when he kicked the leg of Tyrone Mings. I think for against Aston Villa, and Man United got the penalty.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
never a penalty.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but I absolutely hate Man United. So
Speaking of
would
the
never have known.
so it's fine.
speaking of the Premier League, what about tonight's breaking news? Ben White to Arsenal, 50 million, Trig.
I mean, he's a good, bright young star, isn't he? Right, and I'll lay that down straight away. He's got a lot of potential. But when we're screaming out for not a world class, because we're not a world class team anymore, for a properly good creative midfielder, we'd let Ødegaard go because he's going to cost too much money. But we're screaming out for something like that, and then we spend £50 million on a centre back. I mean, I have no idea what the transfer policy is and what the recruitment policy is. I know he used to be data. When Wenger was in, he had a really good scouting network. And when he left, they kind of went more data driven with all his stats and all this and that, but don't get to see the player play. I mean, Pepe scored 20 odd goals in the French league, but when he came, he was dog shit. So I mean, stats can give you everything.
They got the old.
He could have scored 20 odd. He could have scored 20 odd penalties, but the stats say he scored 20 goals. Oh, that's good on paper.
I heard on that actually. I heard a really interesting interview with Jack Wilshere where he said he hates the stat-driven side of the game because a midfielder can have pass accuracy through the roof, and pass completion, but they just go sideways. I think in the Premier League a couple of seasons, Mertesacker was like in the top 3 for the best pass accuracy. But if you're just going sideways and not watching a player, I don't really like stat-driven football. I think you've got to go and actually see a player and how they influence the game.
If you think about all the players that Wenger brought through, like he brought Henry, he brought Vieira, Perez, Youngberg, all the Invincibles really, and then Fabregas he brought up. But then since Wenger's left, what players have we produced bar the generation that's come through now and Saka and Smith?
I mean,
nothing really.
Danny Ceballos looked pretty decent when he first came, didn't he? But he was.
I'm glad he's gone.
He was crap after that.
He must have an ego where he's been average for us for 2 seasons and he wants to go back to Real Madrid to stake a claim for a place. I mean, sorry, but no, mate, it's not happening. But I mean,
the price tag
go on.
for Ben White because he's English? Do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's if it was
how old is he?
He's 20 or 21, something like that. But if a foreign club
is a spray tan as well.
If a foreign club come in for him, like a lot of German clubs have come in for young British players, they wouldn't go near 50 million, but because it's a fellow Premier League club and he's English, it's going to drive the price up.
I'll tell you what, though, you should get whoever negotiated that deal. Get him on he should have been on the Brexit bloody deal, shouldn't he? 50 million. Jesus.
This podcast has taken a turn.
We're getting political.
We have rambled on this evening, gentlemen. It has been a pleasure. We've gone slightly off topic, but I like it. We love a tangent. But I think that's it all for episode 5.
Triggerist Costa.
You know what,
That's it all for the episode 5 of the 2 Lions, 1 Dragon podcast.
Oh, I never want it to end.
And it doesn't end because you can come on Instagram and share and like 2 Lions, 1 Dragon podcast. See, thanks for leading me into that. Check it out on Spotify. Yeah. Put it on, download it, stick it on while you're driving. It's about 5 episodes now.
I mean, make sure you turn it down for the parts where you know where Charlie's going to shout it's coming home because
it's coming home.